And we are back. We have more Trump here from the Fox and Friends appearance today. And let's precede this. Grab soundbite number 3. This is me back. I want to tell you when this is. January 7th, 2014. 3 years ago. 3. Are you ready?
Obama is going to stay in Washington. Can you guess why that might be? He's going to stay in town to make sure that whatever he accomplishes is not unwound. I guarantee you, folks, even after he's out of office, he is going to be treated by the media as though he's still president. Every and this may be the case even with a Democrat president. Whatever the next president does, the media is going to go to Obama every day. He's going to have a satellite administration in exile in Washington. I guarantee you, do not doubt me. I know these people. I know how he thinks. I know who these people are. I know that's exactly why he's going to stay there.
That's where they say he stayed. He said he stayed the 2 daughters to finish school at Sidwell Friends, and then they're going to go to Palm Springs, which I'm told Michelle Obama doesn't like much. So who knows? But It shortly after Obama left office, we found out that Organizing for America, which was his organizing group while in the White House. And let me explain what this group did. This group behaved as though Obama was not in the White House. They were a consortium of acorn-like groups, and they just raised hell. They protested Republicans. They made it look like the nation was filled with people angry at anybody who opposed Obama. And that was their purpose. The purpose was to create an illusion that Obama was beloved, massively beloved and appreciated. And any time any Republicans spoke out against Obama, disagreed with the policy, this group, Organizing for Action, they recruited, they raised money, they went out and there weren't any riots. Well, I take that back. There were riots in Ferguson. There were riots in Baltimore. And this is the kind of thing those people did. And their purpose was to make it look like that the country wasn't transforming quickly enough. They were not trying to convey anger at Obama. Very specific. They were conveying anger at the overall culture of America still not moving fast enough. Well, when Obama left office, the group stayed. They just gave it a new name, Organizing for Action instead of Organizing for America. And under that umbrella, there's a new group called Indivisible. Indivisible, and we've mentioned this on a couple occasions, is directly linked to a group consisting of Obama and George Soros. It's got fundraising links, but many of the people at these town halls, which is what I thought this previous caller is a union organizer, which he misled us and tried to make us think that he's one of these people out there being paid to show up at town halls. But that's the kind of thing that Obama's group is doing now. The one thing I was wrong about when it came to Obama, I thought he'd be on TV. I thought and he still might be. I mean, if the action on, say, repealing Obamacare, at some point there's going to be some action on that. I don't know when, sooner than later, we hope. Right now, it's just talk, and there's plenty of Democrat opposition, and the media is carrying a lot of water in opposing Trump. But if it gets close, and if it actually is repealed, then I wouldn't rule out seeing Obama on TV trying to save it. He's desperate to say this is one of the signature things that he's known for in his presidency. So I think that's what is going on out there. But what I think, big whoop, here's Trump today on Fox and Friends. And again, it's killed me. There's President Obama. You said you personally get along with him. It turns out that his organization seems to be doing a lot of the organizing at some of these protests that a lot of these Republicans are seeing around the country again. By the way, folks, have you noticed something? If I may interrupt myself here, but never fear, I never lose my place. Have you noticed who's not doing town halls? I don't think very many Democrats are at all. And that's really curious because it's the Democrats in the Senate. There are 18 Democrat seats that are really vulnerable. Folks, it is possible that if Trump moves his agenda and his base remains with him, and that those states that voted for Trump stay tied to Trump, it's possible the Democrats could lose enough seats in 2018 that the Republicans would have 60 seats in the Senate all by themselves. That's a distinct possibility. That's how bad it's looking. Now, I don't like these long-range predictions. A lot of these political scientists are already claiming that that's going to happen because they believe politics moves at a snail's pace and that when you have a major earthquake election like this, that it's unrealistic to expect another earthquake election in reverse. Like, it's hard for them to think that in 2 years, the same forces that came together to elect Trump could vanish. But I don't think that's not, I think that's entirely possible that could happen. I think it's totally up to Trump. Trump's all by himself on this. He's got no support. He's got everybody in Washington, I should say everybody, the vast majority of Washington is trying to deny Trump his agenda. They're trying to deny Trump his success. They want him to fail, literally want him to fail. If they don't repeal Obamacare, if they don't repeal Obamacare, that's not going to help the Democrats, but that is going to ruin a lot of Republicans who think that they are guaranteed reelects. But back to the point about where we are here, the vulnerability in 2018 is not Republicans. They are, for all intents and purposes, sitting pretty well. The Democrats are not. The Democrats are in the middle of a massive losing streak and a massive decline. If anybody ought to be out there doing town halls, if anybody ought to be out there trying to shore up their base and turn them out on the election day 2008, it would be Democrats, and they are nowhere to be found. They are not there. They are not doing hardly any of these town halls, and there's a reason. Do you know why they are not? They are scared. Exactly. They are not. They're scared to death of the Bernie Sanders people, number one, but they are scared to death of their own base. Their own base. If they had a chance to take it out on these Democrats, A, for losing, B, for not stopping Trump already, C, for not impeaching Trump already, D, for not whatever, these Democrats don't have the guts to go out there and do a town hall. And this is studied and purposeful so that all of this so-called negative protest and rioting action, all those pictures are aimed at Republicans. But if the Democrats showed up and they did one of these in one of these risky areas, they know full well their base is ticked at them for losing in the first place. Their base is ticked at them for not getting behind Bernie, because if they got behind Bernie, then Trump wouldn't have won. There's any number of things. Their base is loose and deranged out there. They're nowhere near doing public events where the base can get close to them. So anyway, back to Kilmeade. I know that many of you thought I'd lost my place, but I haven't, because I never do. And I don't make notes. So Kilmeade says, he said you got along with Obama, but it turns out his organization seems to be doing a lot of the organizing at some of the protests these Republicans are seeing, and these protests against you. Do you believe Obama's behind it? And if he is that a violation of the so-called unstated President's Code?
No, I think he is behind it. I also think it's politics. That's the way it is. And look, I have a very different agenda.
Bush wasn't going after Clinton. Clinton was going after Bush.
Well, you never know what's exactly happening behind the scenes. You know, you're probably right or possibly right, but you never know. No, I think that President Obama is behind it because his people are certainly behind it. And some of the leaks possibly come from that group. You know, some of the leaks, which are really very serious leaks because they're very bad in terms of national security. But I also understand that's politics, and in terms of him being behind things, that's politics, and it will probably continue.
Well, yeah. I think this is Trump trying to throw some water on this just to dampen down the flames. Because while it's politics, it is a distinct violation of the, as Kilmeade says, the unstated rules of presidential decorum. But Obama's not publicly saying anything. He doesn't have to. But what I think Trump's exactly right. All of these career Obama appointees in the deep state that constitute the effort to sabotage and undermine Trump. And believe me, that story that the Russians helped Trump beat Hillary, that's it, baby. And that story keeps getting life breathed into it by Obamaites in the intel community and at the FBI and any number of places. These places are not like no other organization is. They're not ideologically one. You got radical leftists and right-wingers in every government agency. I mean, humanity's humanity, law of averages is law of averages. And they're there. And so I, for one, was happy to see Trump say it. That's another thing. This is the kind of thing, even if you believe that you're never supposed to say, that presidents aren't supposed to say these kinds of things. These are things that all members of the establishment recognize go on. They're going to go on no matter what, and you don't open the window to it. You don't let the cat out of the bag. You don't let sunshine on this. We in the establishment, even when we decide to take one of ourselves out, whoever we destroy understands, just go. Don't fight it. And here's Trump shining light, and he wasn't finished. You know, Pelosi's out there ranting and raving about impeachment. And I'll guarantee you that over half of that is just fundraising, because they've got some deranged lunatics out there that are still willing to send the Democrats money. So that's largely what her... But I also don't doubt that they'll do it if they think they can. I think they're keeping files, if you will, of what they think might be potential impeachable offenses. Remember, all they'd have to do is file the charge. Now, they don't have the numbers in Congress to pull it off. But can you imagine if Democrat House managers even start breathing the word serious? The media is going to be all over it. The media is going to eat it up. The media is going to be asking Republicans, why aren't you joining the Democrats? Don't you understand? This is a serious moment to impeach the president. He's doing great damage to the country. See it all now. So Trump was asked about this. He said, talk about what Nancy Pelosi said yesterday. She said, basically, Trump's done nothing. He's put up Wall Street, he made America sick, and he's instilled fear in immigrants. Those are his accomplishments. What is your response to her, Mr. President?
Well, I've been watching Nancy's statements, and I think she's incompetent, actually. You know, if you look at what's going on with the Democrats and the party, it's getting smaller and smaller. You know, in a certain way, I hate to see it because I like a two-party system, and we're soon going to have a one-party system. I actually think a two-party system is healthy and good, but she's done a terrible job.
So she's wrong.
Well, I don't think she's a good spokesman. She's certainly wrong.
Certainly wrong. And we're headed to a one-party America, the Trump party. That's what he thinks. And we'll be back. Up next on the phones is Jason in Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to the EIB Network. Hello.
Hello, Rush. It's an honor.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Do you remember after the election, before the inauguration, Obama would say things like, it's a lot harder to govern when you're in this position. You know, unraveling of Obamacare is going to be way harder than you think, and those sort of things.
Yeah.
And I think that once Trump was elected, he's like, oh, my gosh, this guy's really going to do all the things he said he's going to do, and I'm going to be left with nothing. And so I think that maybe it was his intention, like you said in Call, that he would be on TV because he loves himself and he's a narcissist, but he realized that to really, really impact and salvage his legacy, that he had to go back to doing what he does best, and that's organize and gather the troops with the people that he still has in place to really, really, really try to really salvage it.
Yeah, you know, I think that probably has always been the plan. I probably was wrong about it simply because I saw how Obama was effectively using media on television while president, but of course all presidents are on TV all the time. And I was basically commenting on the narcissism and the hyper-possessiveness that Obama has about his agenda. and not allowing anything to happen to it. But I think you raise a good point. I think, and folks, this is part of, and I addressed it earlier, in fact, traditional politics doesn't attach any weight to campaign promises. Those are the things you have to do to get elected, but nobody really does it. No winning candidate really does it. Maybe a couple of obscure things over here to be able to establish a linkage from making a promise to carrying out action. But nobody does what Trump's doing here. And nobody does what Reagan did. When Reagan was elected, and he had 3 campaign planks: rebuild the military, defeat the Soviets, and reform taxes. They never thought Reagan was serious about the Soviet stuff and the taxes. And when Reagan starts in on it, they weren't prepared. And I don't think they had the slightest idea. I think, you see, these are people that they project. They project themselves on everybody else that does what they do. So establishment types, elected officials, they run for office, they get elected, they govern the way they govern. They see Trump, they project on Trump exactly the way they would do it. So he's making all these promises, maybe consistently, but he's never really going to do it. Repeal Obamacare? Nobody's going to do that. In Washington, nobody wants to do that, or wanted to. Then Trump shows up, and lo and behold, they are all off balance on day one because they realize he's going to do exactly what he said, and he's not going to stop till he gets it done. So they're off balance, and I think even Obama was a little bit. But you're right in the sense that he probably was never going to resort to TV. It was always going to be the behind-the-scenes community organizing with no fingerprints, to make it look like all of his opposition to Trump is organic and natural and made up of people who had no idea who they were really voting for. And now they figured it out, and they totally don't support any of this. This is the mission of the Obama protest groups, is to make it look like even Trump voters feel like they got tricked. So appreciate the call, Jason. Thanks much. We'll be right back, folks.